How are we doing today, Chicago Cubs fans? I am back with another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. We're going to talk about the disappointing loss last night. We've got a couple of trade rumors starting to heat up here in late May as needs for the Cubs are impending. The Cubs recall their top prospect, and we'll preview game number 2 here in the series later on tonight. But before we get into all that, just want to give a big shout out to all of you guys who have been liking the videos, who have subscribed to the channel, and who have commented. You guys are the absolute best. The positive comments have been absolutely spectacular. I do respond to you guys on my other account, so just make sure you stay tuned. I love hearing from you guys all about the Cubs. I can talk about the Cubs all day long. So, let's hop right into today's action. The Cubs drop one in the 9th last night. We learned later on in the game that Porter Hodge was not available to pitch due to an oblique strain. Tell me where you've heard that one before. And again, it looks like he's probably going to be heading to the IL. That's probably going to be a 15-day minimum. Now the Cubs are truly struggling to find bullpen arms. I am not sure where we are going to get this one, get another one from at the current moment. The Cubs need to figure this one out. Palencia looked good for the first 2 outs, and then it all just fell apart. I mean, the dude throws absolute gas. He's got the goods. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite have the recipe for success as being a closer. And, Ben Brown didn't have his best start either. He gave up 6 earned runs. But, I kind of expect that from Ben Brown. I'm going to see some great starts. I'm going to see some not so great starts. He's a very young player in the game, and again, when you're in the professional level, very rarely does a player come up and absolutely just dominate right through. So there's going to be some ups and downs with Ben Brown. I totally expect that, but this Cubs offense bounced back and gave him a lead and gave this team a chance to win, which I guess is technically all I can ask for, but last night I was pretty disappointed. The bullpen has failed us once again, all way too much. I'm not sure what the physical solutions are, but we need to figure something out, and in a hurry. Now, last year, during this time, the bullpen was also a problem, but then after June 1st, for whatever reason, it all turned around. I'm not sure what clicked for Craig Counsell. I'm not sure if everyone figured out their role, etc., but something needs to change here. I think when Shota gets back, they might want to move Ben Brown, not to the closer, but to the bullpen for more long relief. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Jordan Wicks had a solid performance the other day in AAA Iowa. We need arms, and honestly, it's kind of like an open tryout. Not for regular people, but for any pitcher that's in this Cubs organization needs to come up to the big league level and pitch. And if they get 3 outs, guess what? You're the closer until you can't get 3 outs anymore. So I'm not sure what the Cubs are going to do in this situation, but we need to figure something out. In one of my earlier videos, I talked about Johan Duran. If the Twins aren't going to make him available now because they've won 13 in a row or something ridiculous like that, and they're atop the AL Central. The Cubs need to figure out something. I'm not sure who it's going to get. If the Athletics keep on tailing, you need to make a call. You need to say, hey, what is it going to take for Mason Miller? We need something to secure the end of the game. I don't even think the middle of the bullpen is necessarily the problem. We got to get those last 3 outs. They're the most important outs. They shouldn't be harder than the rest, but for whatever reason, they are. That's baseball. So, not sure how the Cubs are going to figure out this situation, but we do bounce back again in Miami tonight. I imagine that this team, the way they've responded all year long, they're going to come out and beat the brakes off the Marlins, okay? If you're looking at Cubs minus 1.5, I might alt it to minus 2.5. Get you some plus money on that front, because Jameson Taillon's back. He's coming for revenge. We're facing Weathers. He handed us a loss last week. I imagine that this Cubs offense is going to figure it out and bounce back strong. Now, on to the rumors of trades. It's not a reliever, which is what you think this team would need the most, right? No. We're talking about Ryan McMahon of the Colorado Rockies, who are having a historically disappointing season. They might beat the White Sox of last year. I'm sorry, they're not might. They are definitely on pace to beat the White Sox of last year. They lost again yesterday, like 9-3 to the Phillies. And Ryan McMahon has been absolutely struggling. And in Colorado, not to say that you shouldn't struggle, but struggling shouldn't look so struggling. You know what I'm saying? So he does not look good out there. But again, I am a true believer. You are a product of your environment. If your team is absolutely cheeks, you are probably not going to play as well because you have no support around you in the batting order. The same goes for Lou Bob on the south side. If you have no support, it's demoralizing. It's morally demoralizing. And you just don't want to even be there anymore. Even if you're trying to show up every day and be there for your teammates and the people you're playing with, you just don't want to be there. So I don't look into his numbers all too much. I just know he's a good left-handed hitter when the situation is correct. So if the cost isn't too much, I'm not against the Cubs getting him, but a lot of teams are in on him. So I would be curious to see what the bidding war would be for Ryan McMahon. But Ryan McMahon would solve a problem. It would put us at third base, solid defensively, and probably contribute a lot more hitting. Now, the Cubs on the offensive side of the ball have been done a fantastic job this year of replacing players or getting the production that they need. Now, we tried Matt Shaw in Japan. It didn't work out. We tried him for the first few weeks. Offensively, it wasn't working out. But the Cubs recalled him yesterday, Matt Shaw, and he did his job. He got a couple of hits. He drove in the leading run at the time. And they call him up because down in Iowa over the last 10 games, he's been absolutely hitting the piss out of the rock. Sorry for my language, but the man has been balling. I know you see 286, you're like, that's not impressive. It doesn't matter. It's about the hits, right? He has 15 hits, 5 of which are home runs. He's driven in 10 runs, and he's walked 10 times. So he's starting to see the ball better. He's starting to square it up more. When he makes contact with it, it's going a long way. It's going to be for extra bases. So excited by the development of Matt Shaw. It kind of might make the Ryan McMahon thing null and void. Again, depending on the cost. If it's a low level or prospect, deal him. Get the security at third base, because then you can go righty-lefty matchups. You can switch out to DH, etc. If, Seiya gets hurt or something like that, there's a lot more flexibility. And Matt Shaw becoming a bat bench potentially could be very, very good for this team. Might hinder his development a little bit, but I'm sure the Cubs are not going to be afraid to use his call-up, send-downs, and bring him up in September when the team truly needs him. But Matt Shaw did a fantastic job last night. Much better than he did the first time around. Again, first time in the big leagues, I can't expect all too much from the young man. It's a tough game. But to Matt Shaw's credit, he's hit everywhere he has been. And so I do eventually think he's going to figure it out at the major league level. So I would really do like him to get the reps at third and us solve that problem and us figure out how to fix this bullpen, because that is our number one issue. We have the roles kind of defined, If we found a solid lockdown closer, Presley 7th, Hodge when he gets back 8th, closer 9. Should be ball game. Not going to happen every time, but way more consistent than before. But I'm curious to see how Jed and Carter get together and solve this problem. So far, the team has brought up, promoted from within, right? Matt Shaw came up. He's done a solid job. We moved PCA to the leadoff. He's done a solid job. We needed that superstar bat. PCA has become that, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm curious to see how the Cubs organization does this one. But I do think they're going to need to make a move, but I don't think that move's coming for a while. So we need to figure out something in the interim right here, right now. So Game 2 is tonight. Sorry about that. Game 2 is tonight. Can Tyone bounce back and get us the win? He lost to the Marlins last week, so I do like that factor going into tonight. I think Tyone's going to bring it. I think this Cubs offense is going to absolutely bring it. They've seen Weathers before. And again, that was last week. Weathers is a lefty, so that's when they started Dansby at leadoff. I think they should put PCA there. I know it's not the matchup you like, but PCA needs those reps. Get him more reps. That's what it's about right now. If it costs you the game, it costs you this game. Again, the games in May, they matter and they don't matter, right? I need PCA to see more left-handed pitching, especially from the leadoff position. So I think that could help this Cubs team in the future more than currently the present. But I think the Cubs bounce back tonight. They have done such a great job responding all year long. Even in emotional wins and emotional losses, this team rarely does lose 2 in a row. So I imagine that the Fish are going to have a letdown. I don't think they're that good of a team. They don't have the wherewithal to bounce back like that. But the Fish have given us trouble. Let's just be honest. They've given us trouble all year long. All the games have been pretty solid. No, absolute blowouts have happened. So let's see if the Cubs can get off to a good start tonight. Tyone can get some outs. Again, probably not let up all too many, runs, et cetera, et cetera. But again, if he can only let up 3 runs, that should be enough to win the ball game. So curious to see how it gets done. That's going to be at 5:40 Central Time tonight. Make sure you guys get home, eat your dinner, and get ready for some Cubs baseball. But that's going to do it for me today on Cubs Daily. Again, make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and commenting down below. How do the Cubs look tonight? Do they bounce back? Let me get a Go Cubs Go in the comment section, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another one. Peace.